Hey everyone, MTast here. We got a new unit in game. I want to talk about Chocobo. I want to talk about our Chocobo boy, Mika. And I think that he is trash. Terrible. Absolutely terrible unit. Overall, this character really is not great. Super niche, and even in that niche, you need C6 to be really valuable. I am really underwhelmed with this character, and I am super tired of Genshin Impact doing that. You've got units like Kujo-Sara that gain a ton of value at C6, right? This thing here, 60% increased crit damage for electro damage characters with that C6. This is huge. And if you look at these other abilities, you know, she'd get some value as you go. And if you look at her other talents, like this Storm Call, this is going to give an attack bonus boost, an attack boost to any unit. Hypothetically, this is a more universal unit. She's not as good as Bennett, but like you can argue that she works with other units, even at C0. It would still work. It would still give you some sort of value. But a unit like Mika, I think is actual dog water as a unit at C0. It is a healing unit, and that's, you know, fine. The healing unit works. An attack speed buff, okay? Attack speed buff. Sure. But when you start looking at the nitty-gritties, it's just not that valuable, and there's other units that can do it better or different or whatever you want to call it, but I feel like Mika is bringing not enough to the table at C0 to be, you know, even worth building unless you're one of the few people that uses physical units. But unless you're getting C6, it really probably isn't a buff to your team. Even if you think it's a buff to your team, it probably isn't. Because I want to explain something. Okay. If you just randomly brought in any other kind of support DPS units, like if you brought a Xiangling into your team, even if she's not doing the reactions you want, she is just putting damage on the field. Your damage per second as a team would be pretty high because she can hit really well. If you put the damage on there, it's amazing. The same thing goes with someone like a Xingqiu. Even if you're not vaping, but his damage is just going out onto the field, the only way that someone is more valuable than Xingqiu or a Xiangling is if they're buffing your current unit on field, Eula or Razor or, for whatever reason, physical Xinyan. They have to be buffed so hard that you would replace free damage from another unit or sustained damage. Another example of that would be someone like Fischl, someone who's just sustaining damage, putting it out on the field, and adding some sort of value to the team. And if we're looking at one of the big physical characters in the game, like Eula, who would want to superconduct, you would probably want to use someone like Fischl, or you could use someone like Fischl, and you're getting the superconduct covered, you're getting passive damage, and because both of those things are being filled, you need a ton of value from a new physical support to be worth replacing Fischl, even if she's not the most meta thing. I'm not going to say she is, but you can see where I'm coming from here, right? Reactions that are beneficial, free damage. You need attack boosts. You need attack speed boosts. You need elemental damage boosts. You need to shred defenses. You need to do something. And Mika is just not doing it until you get 60% more crit damage. Now, let's just be fair here. Let's really break down what he's doing. All right, if we look at the talents, the E ability does very limited damage, but you're going to want to level this thing up so that you can get the attack speed bonus, right? Every time you level this up, you're going to get a little bit more attack speed bonus, and the scaling is going to go up. So it could do a decent amount of damage, but it's not the greatest multipliers. Let's just be on it. It doesn't have a lot of area of effect, and it's just kind of like a quick shot. It does a little projectile, but it's not like this huge sustained damage. It's not this big burst damage. It doesn't have great area of effect that's hitting multiple targets. it's a pretty meh thing. And the bonus is 13% attack speed. But let's just say it's giving you 20%. You've leveled it up. It's giving you 20%. That isn't a lot of attack speed. If you look at someone like Eula, the rotation of Eula is you're gonna pop her ability and you want to her burst or whatever, and you want to land your attacks as many times as you can, and then it hits a big chunk of damage, right? And because she's a Claymore user, you might get in 1 extra attack. Maybe 2 if you got some really good latency, but it's not that much. And so you could argue if Eula was being buffed by Bennett, or if you had Fischl on the field, or Xingqiu on the field, is Fischl or Xingqiu or Xiangling or literally anyone going to do more damage than 2 auto attacks? Because that's essentially what you need to look at for the attack speed. Now, let's be fair, let's be honest here. He's also a healer, which allows you to have some sustain, and there's value in that. Don't get me wrong. I understand Diona might not bring all the damage, but she can keep you alive. Yada, yada, yada. I get it. And then this one here. If you look at this talent here, this is going to boost up your physical damage. Now, this has some value, all right? So if you're giving some extra attack speed, you're getting those 1 or 2 attacks off, that's cool. But if you're boosting up physical damage here, you can get multiple stacks of this bad boy. All right, now we're getting some value. 20%, 30%, 40% more physical damage. We like this. Here is the issue. Against a single target, this doesn't proc properly. You can't send out his bolt and have it cascade into other units and stack up a whole bunch of physical. Excuse me. And so against single targets, he loses a ton of his value. And I understand that there's other units that are good with physical targets, or multiple targets, or single targets. There's always going to be pros and cons, but the fact that you can't stack up this extra physical damage that much is pretty frustrating to me. And, you know, there's multiple ways to get this as you ascend him. And as you get constellations, you can get a little bit more access to this physical damage bonus that he provides. But against single targets is a little bit meh. And again, are you going to get constellations? Are you going to get C2? Are you going to get C4? Are you going to get C6? How far are you willing to go? Because, gamers, there is no pity. There is no pity on these ones, right? You could get Shenhe C2. You could get Ayaka C2 before you get 1 copy. I'm not saying you will. You might get lucky. I got 1 on my first 10 pull, but that might not be the case for you. And to get essentially 7 copies of this unit could be hundreds and hundreds of dollars to support 2 units in the game. Maybe 3 down the road, maybe 4. They'll add some more physical units, I'm sure. But are you going to C6 this unit and, you know, in the process, get some 5 stars that maybe you want, maybe you don't want? Are you going to C6 this unit to buff Eula and Razor? And let's just be honest here. Are you going to C6 this unit to buff Eula? I don't know. Maybe you are. But I just think that he's so niche. I think that he's just not really worth it. And again, I hate saying this. I hate being that guy. But are you going to spend hundreds of dollars or weeks and weeks or months and months of saving Primo Gems to overdrive your Eula to beat the content you could probably already beat faster? You know what I'm saying? There's no situation where you need 60% more physical damage. You don't need it. It's so unnecessary. I've got Kujo Sara. I've got C6. It can be fun blowing some stuff up with my Raiden Shogun, but I do not need this. I do not use it half the time. And I just always like to warn you guys to think. I know it gets exciting when there's a new character. You've got nothing to do in game and you see this little chocobo going, I want to get him. But don't go and C6 this unit. Just don't. Save up. Go get a new Archon when Fontaine comes out. Go get a cool, hot new husbando. You know, something like that. This isn't worth it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. See you later. Bye-bye.